All right, so this is like the third update in like a few weeks on the BRS160.
Much deserved.
Yeah, we hit on like all the wins, all the loses, our losses, and now today we're gonna hit on some of the things that we wish we had done.
Yeah.
It's gonna be super brief, and then tell you about where the tank is going, right?
Yes.
Like, especially like where all the little updates you're gonna see in the future here, probably about 6 months out. But at 6 months, what can you expect to see happen between here and there? Because I think there's some big changes coming. But let's just start straight up with some of the things that we wish that we had done with this tank in the past.
I think we hit on this one, the first one, so many times, and that is the tank depth, front to back, and the tank height, you know, top to bottom. So 30 inches front to back would have solved a lot of flow problems in this thing, and our aquascape problems, and getting flow back behind, and but especially that 24 inches tall, and if we would have thought about the rock work.
4 more inches here would have solved a whole tons of flow problems. So yeah, ideally in my dream world, 6 more inches front to back, 30 inches, 4 more inches tall would have been a big thing. One of the things also I would have liked to have done, I wish we could have done, is buy once. I know all of you would like that. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Buy the thing once, don't buy the skimmer 4 times over, flow 8 times over, trying to chase the flow dragon, right?
Yeah.
I wish I would have done that. Wasn't possible, really. Part of it's because we're doing experiments here and sharing with you.
Even corals too, is that we did lose some because and then we bought more, and then we bought more. So you know, we could have planned a little better and bought once on corals.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I wish that we had stuck with the Zeovit and BRS 2-part from the beginning.
2-part's so easy. It's like I can make up for, especially for this one. You know, at 100, I think it was about 150 mils per day of both alkalinity and calcium. 5-gallon bucket lasts quite a long time, and I can whip that stuff up easy.
Calcium alkalinity, super easy.
Yeah.
The Zeovit thing, keeping nutrients down, adding tons of them in the top.
Water changes.
It was just like something that I actually enjoyed and produced what I think was the best results of the whole thing. It was actually really cool to go see Sean's like a 22-foot long SPS tank and see that, you know, he's just using BRS chems as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can produce those kinds of results. There's simple calcium chloride and soda
Scalable.
ash. Boom.
Yeah.
Done. All right. So another thing that I wish that we had done instead is I wish we would have never tore the sand out.
Yeah, there's what we're learning more is like they either start with sand, don't start with sand, but don't take it out if you have started. And if you're gonna have sand in there, just clean it. Like we're doing water changes out of the display. You can do a water change out of the display, and you just choose a section and vacuum that section. Next week or next water change, vacuum another section, and just kind of rotate it out like that.
If it's not coming out brown, then you're probably good. But if it's coming out brown, you know you're doing a good thing. So I would have just cleaned it rather than removed it. I also would have kept the roller mat if I could. That was just a super cool tool for removing all the particulates out. Now you gotta deal with like filter socks and strapping them on there, or not running them, or changing out filter pad all the time. That roller mat would just remove it in real time, was super sweet. Also, the UV light.
Yeah, we didn't, from the get-go, we didn't do the UV right the first time. And that's, you know, it's off of a manifold after it passes all these other manifold places, so it's at the end of it. It drains back into the sump, so it's kind of recirculating that sump water. It's just not as effective as we could have plumbed it, and we oversized it for this tank just to cover all our bases, but even still, it's just not done right.
When we installed it, like we just didn't understand it. I would say the community really just didn't understand it the way that the community understands it today, using the right tool for the right job and then installing it the right way. So I wish that we had done that. I also kind of wish that we had tried Vibrant or Microbacter Clean as some tools in the past.
Man, it's amazing what you learn in a 5-year time. And UV, Vibrant, you know, these bacterial type things. All of this stuff we learned, had we had known before when we first set this thing up, probably could have solved a lot of long-term or a lot of issues that we ran into.
So if I can go back 5 years in time in my mind, I totally accepted the fact that you can dose bacteria to help cycle your tank.
Yeah.
I would say 5 years before that, I don't know, like, does Pyrospira, there's a big question, like, does it work or doesn't it work? Well, that ship sailed, man. We know for sure it works, right? Yeah. And then like 5 years up, and like, now you're hearing people like dosing bacteria, and like, does dosing bacteria Zeovit work? Or does it work with like Microbacter Cleans and Vibrants and all that stuff? And like, I don't know, like, there's lots of tanks that do really well without dosing bacteria. Is that needed? No, it is not needed, but it's the right tool for the right job. And now I have a better understanding of how to use this stuff to achieve a desired result.
Yeah.
I absolutely wish that we had used it, any of those tools, for some of the things that we encountered here. So those are most of the things that I would do differently if I could with the BRS160 in the last 5 years. All right, so here are the changes we're going to make with the BRS160 over the future, and we're going to do something a little different this time. We're actually going to see where we can take this tank. It's time to make a show tank, stop all the changes, just take all the information we know, see where it takes us.
It's funny that you say stop all the changes, but we're going to make some changes. But there's some caveats there. We're not going to make destabilizing changes like removing the sand bed like we've seen before. We're not going to remove the fuge. We're not going to make these big drastic changes. Just a few tweaks here and there. And then like show tank to me is like anytime I go look at this tank, it's in show condition, meaning, it's clean, super clean. Corals are pruned and trimmed.
We're looking for things that we can change, I think, that is beneficial, or things we learned, some of the things we're going to go back to, but that won't implode the tank, right? Like I don't want a 12-month backwards journey. I want to move forward, right? All right, so one of the things that we're going to do here is kind of go back to the Zeovit thing. We're not going to go all the way back to the Zeovit program, but the KZ products really work for me. It was one of my favorite times of maintaining the whole tank, and I like the results the most of the whole thing. So we're not going to go back to the whole Zeovit program because the rocks and dosing all the bacteria and stuff, because we have nutrients under control.
Yeah, that we found that the refugium handles the nitrogen, phosphorus in the tank so well that we actually have to account for it in added nutrition into the tank. And that's kind of what was ahead of its time, when we were using the Zeovit method, is that there was this really highly functioning, nutrition or this control method, this nutrient control method, export method, but it was coupled with add these various foods and amino acids and all these other nutrition input, and it was a balanced system for putting in and taking out that we want to get back to, and we kind of reached this disequilibrium because the refugium worked so well that we weren't putting enough back in.
Yeah, so again, I think you've heard me say this before, but the Germans just don't explain themselves very well. They've been doing this for a really long time, meaning heavy in, heavy out, right? They just didn't describe it that way. They also didn't really get across, man. Everybody's talking about nutrients, and you're talking about nitrate and phosphate. Nutrition is the word, right? And now, most of the conversation here in the United States is about coral nutrition, not nitrate and phosphate per se.
It's the end.
We've actually evolved past that. It's nutrition, including protein, is the primary component, and the elements that make up protein, being the amino acids and other things, right? And so that's really the thing, and that's what they were doing. You're dosing the, LPS amino concentrate, the other amino concentrate, all these different foods, and taking out nitrogen and phosphorus, but adding all these other things to compensate and create a really awesome tank. So we're going to dose some of the most popular ones and the ones that we used before. For us, it's that sponge power one, which does what?
That's the filter feeders and polyp extension type. So I know it's kind of the stuff that you see, at night when you see all the polyps and stuff out. But you can dose this, a variety. The corals will train themselves. But yeah, the sponge power is for those filter type feeders. Probably very small particle type foods. Also, that most popular one, the Pulse Extra. Probably of all of the blue bottles, that one's really popular.
Yeah, I would say either second or first popular. I'm not sure, but it brings out that phosphorus tint, and it also brings, again, a lot of the polyps are trained to be in the wild out at night. It tends to bring them out during the day, right? Same thing with the Coral Vitalizer, which I actually think is the #1 most popular of the whole mix. And then, of course, the LPS amino acids, and we've talked about amino acids. We did some BRS investigates experiments on amino acids with Brightwell's aminos. The results are astounding. And not only that, but I saw it in this tank in the beginning when we were dosing all that stuff. Everything looked the best I've ever seen. So since then. So in that spirit, we're also going to dose the amino concentrate. And for those of you who don't know, there are different variations of aminos. And I'm just going to run the gambit here and run them both.
Just do them both? We did before.
I don't know, man. It just produced a type of result for me.
Yeah. We also did flatworm stop. A lot of the SPS heads, stick heads are in the same kind of boat. They're using this flatworm stop. It's not maybe as a preventative to some degree, but a lot of reporting that like the tissue thickness and the health of the tissue on your acropore and on your sticks are just more vibrant, a lot thicker type tissue. So it's one that we used all the time on this one too, back when this wing was up and coming. So we're gonna get back to it.
So the reason we actually started using it back in the day is because we had the money-eating nudibranchs, right?
True, yep.
And so the way that it's believed that the flatworm stop is it makes the tissue actually thicker and more unpalatable for these things to be able to eat, right? And so we used it for that purpose, but what I later found out was so much of the KZ community uses this because it seems to just bring out tissue health in general. And you just see, really puffy, like healthy looking tissue. And in conjunction with that is the coral booster, right? And so it says right on there, designed to use with the flatworm stop, brings out coloration, all that stuff. So you don't have to go use all those things if you don't want to. I'm going to use them here. And one of the beautiful things is you get to watch along, and we'll show you the starting point here. At the end of this video, I'm going to instruct Dave to give you like a little 5-minute montage of the whole tank so you can really kind of plug along, see where it's at right now. You'll see where we are in 6 months, in 12, and 18. We just like turn the corner and we start thinking about that heavy in, heavy out. Our heavy out is now a lot easier than the rocks and stuff like that, but that's just my favorite thing. I'm gonna do what I like to do, and we're gonna move forward on that one. And then what is the next thing we're gonna do?
Yeah, this next one is we're going to fix the UV and plumb it right. So right now, it's like I said, it's kind of off on the side. It's an afterthought. We really didn't know when we were just putting it in that maybe we should put this in, but we didn't put it in effectively. We didn't do it right. So we can change up some plumbing here, which we've used a lot of unions on this plumbing. So it's going to be easy to kind of like build back into it, hopefully. So we're going to do the UV right.
Yeah. So we'll get the UV going through there, hopefully design it for pests like bacteria and protozoa, or bacteria and algae rather.
Yeah.
If we can't get the flow right for that, we're gonna design it for the other purpose, which is protect your fish, right? But we're gonna pick one or the other, and then we'll show you exactly how we set it up to do that actual purpose. Another thing we're gonna do is add that second return pump.
Yeah, this is gonna help with the UV, but it's also going to help in redundancy. The redundancy that we've been talking about ever since the 750 XXL is that 2 return pumps is better than 1 when it comes to one or the other failing.
Yep.
And we kind of went around that by choosing one of the better return pumps, that the more reliable type. But then we're just going to add in a second one.
If I'm talking about the future and what I really want to plan for the future, it is time to actually fix that mistake of the past and run both the return pumps. It's really not that hard to do and not that expensive, so I might as well do it. And in relation to that, the next one is we're just going to fix the whole plumbing. So the plumbing looks nice, but
it looks nice, but there's a couple things that we could tweak, a couple ways we could optimize it and improve it. So I mean, adding in a second pump has its own challenges when we're going to have to kind of tee off some things, cap off some ends. But in the long run, like that gives us an opportunity to fix the plumbing.
And because I can't help it, I still like to get as much experience with the stuff that we sell here and then share the information back with you. We're going to swap out the dosing pump and the calcium reactor. By the way, we're going to keep the calcium reactor. I talked to Josh today, and he's like, hey, man, you could go back to 2-part if you wanted to, man.
Yeah.
He's like, no, dude, it's just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
And so it has absolutely worked out the way that we wanted, which is peg the pH and then just figure out the dose. Even when it's only got 1/3 of the media in it, it's actually still working as intended the way. So it's really surprising if you just peg the pH how well it works. But we're going to swap out the Kimura dosing pump for the new.
For the new Versa dosing pump by Ecotech. So what I like about this is it has the mobile, it has the connectability. I can adjust everything from my phone. So I mean, the Kimura, I could go up and turn the dial and adjust if I needed to, but it's from like 0.1 to, or it's from 1 milliminute to 120 mils per minute. The Versa dosing pump goes up to 300 mils per minute. It's a continuous duty dosing pump and easily calibratable. I mean, this thing's smaller form function than the Kimura, which is even nice too. But we're gonna give it a try. It's got push connect fittings right on there, so it's really cool dosing pump. We're gonna give it a try. That means we get to mess with the phone on it, so should be pretty interesting and goes well with kind of the whole ecosphere we have back there.
I mean, anytime Ecotech comes out with something, how do you not want to try it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's it.
fun.
I want to be able to try it so that when somebody asks me, hey, what do you think? I can give an intelligent answer.
True.
Also, there'll probably be somewhere in here where we try the Versas on the auto water change system.
Yeah.
The dose right now is working awesome. I don't want to touch it on this tank. But somewhere, man, we're going to definitely implement those here so you can get a better idea how that works for that purpose as well. For those who don't have an Apex and you want an auto water change system, this could be a really sweet solution for you. We are also going to refinish the cabinet.
Yeah, so as you guys heard in some of our fails, the cabinet got some damage to it, and it's all because of our own fault, maybe even my fault. I'm going to take some blame on this one too. But it's, the cabinet got wet and never got taken care of. So now there's damage to the face of it. There's damage to the front. The veneer, the finish is kind of worn off in some places.
We just got salt on it. There was a constant stream of salt probably for 6 months.
Yeah.
Man, just a little bit, but
Just ate it away. So we're going to fix it. Doesn't Chris have a package? Is he coming to fix it for us?
I think Chris is going to come out and do a live video, and during that one, he may very well tell us like how to fix something like this.
Perfect.
So we'll get some information on that there. So we're definitely going to fix that. Another thing I want to do is add some more fish.
That's pretty interesting, because I look at it and I say, there's a lot of fish in here, but color-wise.
Yeah, it's color. So we have like a little gem tank that's been living here. You probably saw him actually maybe not last week. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get him acclimated. There's also, I think, a Regal Angel in the sump.
Yeah.
He's living in the sump down there.
Been back there for a while.
And we're going to add them both into the tank. But what I really want to do is probably add like a little school of something, inexpensive, like some chromis, whatever, that adds like color to the tank.
Mm-hmm.
I might, have somebody twist my arm to think of something different or more rare. I don't know, but I actually like the little school that Roman lives in the acros and whatnot. Yeah, and so hopefully we'll add that. I just want to add some more color and some movement into the tank. And so, in related to that,
We're probably gonna swap out some corals too. So there are some corals in here that for whatever reason maybe still be brown, or they maybe maybe reach their full color potential, which is like blue tips, which are really good looking, but they're just kind of brown and did not colorate. And so we probably pick out some choice pieces and add them in there. There's some encrusters that I would personally like to see removed out of here to open up some real estate on the rock for more sticks. So hopefully we can do that or something like that. But
part of having a show tank means you put your best stuff up front.
Yeah.
So you just kind of swap things around. There are some corals in here that got really big that are not what I would call like my favorite coral ever. So you know what? Even though they're big, let's put them somewhere else and just keep watching this tank evolve until it's the best that it can possibly be. So swap out some coral and. I'm not 100% certain we're going to do this, but you said it earlier, and I might be with you. So you got a bare bottom. There's one or two things we can do. We can cover it in much coral as you want.
Yeah.
Right? Or
you can scrape it like you scrape the back of the tank and keep it clean. I don't know. For me, when the bottom of the tank is clean, I can see the detritus build up and see those dead spots. And if I'm gonna do a water change, I can actively suck it out. And two, it just gives this. For me, it gives this contrast. Like the rock is purple, the back is black, so I can see the corals contrast through there. And the bottom, I have corals on the bottom too that kind of get muted in that coralline look. So a black background on them makes them pop a little more.
I think I might do it.
I'm a big fan.
So I think we might actually try, and we just see how it goes. But I think we might try removing the corals off of the bottom of the tank and scraping all the coralline, get that nice black look that matches the nice black back, and see if we can get a nice contrasty look out of the tank that looks clean and well cared for. Because all the coralline algae and stuff growing on the bottom, actually I don't think looks clean and well cared for. And finally, after we clean the bottom, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna pull up our chairs and just watch this thing grow. That's it. Just let it be. Don't change anything else and maintain, and that's about it. Stability.
So I'd expect the next update here is you get to see our plumbing install. You get to see maybe a little update on how the Versa's doing.
Yeah.
You'll get how much I love the little blue bottles probably. But you'll see a handful of those things. But you also see hopefully some corals we swapped out, and you'll see the growth. And then probably every 6 months or so, you get to see a pulse, like where this tank's going, and we finally just like leave it alone.
Yeah.
And there's tons of other experiment tanks here, but you know, as experiments evolve, I think this one's evolved to the point of, let's see where this tank can go finally.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, give the 160 a break. It's been a test tank for a long time.
It's a workhorse tank, man, for sure.
Kudos to the 160 up into this point, but now let's see if we can turn it into a 10-year plus tank.
All right, so you'll see all that, and if you haven't, somehow you missed it, we actually did 2 other updates like last week and the week before. One of them was like all of the wins of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And the other one was?
The best part, all of the fails for the last 5 years, which is really worth checking out.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, because you get to learn from our lessons, lessons learned from us, so you don't do it yourself. You can find all of that right here on this playlist.
See all of our lessons, come learn with us.